And now I'd like to introduce from Blackpool, Catherine Peters, who's creative producer at Left Coast.
Good morning. Hi, everyone. We just wanted to start with who we are, really, introduce ourselves, but also talk about one of our recent projects. So we are an arts-based organisation which works across 6 neighbourhoods in Blackpool, and we're funded by the Arts Council. We're a CPP, which means we're Creative People in Places, and we get funded to engage local residents in arts and culture. Also means we get to play a little bit and test, so we're really lucky with the projects that we do. Our major commission for this year is the Field of Dreams, which is this site. It's created on a 7-acre site within Mearside, which is a neighbourhood we've worked in for around 10 years. We've already got a presence in this neighbourhood, and that's through a shared space called Wash Your Words, which is a library, a laundrette and community space. And we developed that it took 8 years actually from initial consultations, design with the community, and the build through to now, which is a space we currently populate with our programme. So this site is a green space which is set between a housing estate and a busy main road. But it's also, the main road is an entry point from the motorway to Blackpool, so it's kind of the first thing that you would see when you enter the town. It also leads you to a retail park and various businesses around. This is the site from above, so you can see how densely populated it is around that site. We already activate a small space nearby, which is now a community orchard, which was planted in 2016 with us, another organisation and local residents. And we continue to use that space actually for our programme. We're currently digging for wild clay on that site and various other sites, which has been amazing actually. We've had some incredible amounts of clay that's come from the ground, and we're making a collection with that clay as well. This is also a historical map of how the site looked previously. It was once a farming area with many fishing ponds, and it was actually named the breadboard of Lancashire due to the wheat crops that were growing there. And the housing estate was developed post-war in 1948. I love this photo. It just shows what the land was before the housing estate, and when it arrived, that it was still being farmed. This was a local school, actually, so we imagine that this is the school children that attended. This was the land as we were looking around. So there's little pockets, you can see how it's used within the housing estates. It's used as cut-throughs. Unfortunately, it's sometimes used for fly tipping. It is really close to a triple SI, which is interesting because it feels like a disconnect with that site. It's known really as the playing fields. That's how people remember it, because in the 80s and 90s it was where all the footy was played, so people have a nice memory of it there. It's mainly now used by dog walkers, as I said, a bit of fly tipping, a bit of ASB, and as cut-throughs. So after a tour of the sites all over Blackpool that we generally use, our commissioned artists who are Heather Peake and Ivan Morrison, if you know of their work, but if you don't, please check them out because they're amazing. They did select the space because young people had built some dens in and around the orchard because they'd taken ownership of the green space in their own way. But the local council removed them several times, so it meant there was no shelter for them, which really resonated with those artists. Local residents also said they felt like the field had been left, no one cared about it, the kids couldn't play on it. So between us and the artists and the residents' conversations, it became clear the impact that a project could have here and the link to our rights programme. which is something I'll come on to. The beginnings of the community engagement, which is obviously our main body of work for our practice. The outcome is usually less important to us. It's the journey that we go on with residents of the town. So the local children had put together these lovely little drawings of how a wildflower meadow could look in their space. So it was a really nice beginning of the engagement. This is part of the leaflet, so it's a reimagined picture of that field from the artist. And this is what we use to kind of knock on doors and talk to people about the project. We gave some visuals about the planting. So it's a real mix of planting on this site because we eventually we plan to make a shelter. We still don't know that 100%. So I haven't got any really lovely photos of the field to show you because it's not grown yet. But this is the planting that with lots of advice from Scouse Flowerhouse as well, and other partners. So we've created like a multifaceted growing space there. So we also have cereals in there as well. It gives structure to the harvest, which will then go on to create the shelter. So this is imagining how it could look. We don't know yet, but it is currently growing quite well, we will say. This is taken from this slide. I've put this in because this is taken from one of our other commissions. We worked with a spoken word artist, Nathan Parker, and he's written a performance called The Land Beneath Our Feet. And he started conversations in those neighbourhoods 3 to 4 years ago, and Mearside was one of those. And it has led to our new artistic program, which is called Left to Rights, which I wanted to talk about. So over the past 4 years, we've been witnessing similar conversations surfacing repeatedly across the neighbourhoods. We've witnessed an increased interest in green sites during COVID, and this has continued to evolve. People are interested in making space within their communities and who has the power to influence what happens there. We observe people wanting to escape their daily lives, connect with nature, the need to make something and to put their hands to work in a way they don't normally get a chance. Our residents and partners talk to us about the struggles of balancing a household, feeding the family, and we've witnessed an ever-increasing distance from an understanding of where that food comes from. We have daily conversations about domestic rituals, from washing clothes to packing kids' lunches. These are the spaces we'll continue to meet with people and build opportunities to make inspiring, moving, and useful works of art. These conversations, reflections, and observations have formed the thinking around the creation of our creative set of rights. In neighbourhoods where people feel increasingly that they have no rights or agency in their lives, how does working with artists change this? We've set a creative intention that challenges a commonly known a deficit narrative that's told for Blackpool, and instead asks what would happen if we had the right to grow, the right to wonder, the right to beauty, and the right to space. So in relation to the project that I just spoke about, the right to grow is the right to be able to enjoy green space in your neighbourhood, to know how to plant a seed, to sit in the shade of a tree, or just to know when to pick the blackberries from the neighbourhood bush. The right to grow your skills, your knowledge, or your ideas is the right to flourish in the space that you are in. Taken from the performance, when we have the right to grow, it's not just food and flowers, you know. As people, places to play, a picnic plot, grow in the community we forgot. Just in general, we know that Blackpool has the lowest tree canopy over the UK, with only 4% of the town supporting trees compared to a national average of 16%. There's lots of statistics around it, and it's one of the reasons why we continue to develop the green spaces and work with residents. And just to show you a couple more spaces, because we've obviously got, I'm just last slide, I promise. So there's 7 acres, but we also work in really small places. We have this community garden, People's Pantry in Horside, and then a really small pocket, which is the Sunken House as well. And we also have Revo Town Square. So I just wanted to show those as well. Thank you for having us.